Welcome back. In this video, we're covering the first 4 steps of the 7-step landing page build-out process. I've grouped these 4 steps together because they all relate to the work you're doing on the front end to get your landing page created. The remaining 3 steps, which we'll cover in the following video, all involve what goes in behind the scenes on the back end of your landing page. So it just makes sense to group them in this way. So are you ready to dive into step number 1, research? Okay, let's go. In this first step, which I simply call research, your task is to gather as much data as possible to help you build a great landing page, whether it be for yourself, your brand, or a client. Whatever you do, don't skip this step. Whether you're building a brand new page from scratch or refreshing an existing landing page, the very best landing page optimizers base their work on actual data and research. They're not just throwing paint at the wall and seeing what sticks. So then, where do you find the data you need? Well, there's really just 4 places I recommend focusing on. First, Google Analytics. If you or your client is using it, and there's a pretty good chance they are, this is where the quantitative data lives, the numbers, the stuff that tells you what's going on. You want to mine through this data and look for trends. For example, is most of the traffic coming from desktop or mobile? That will help you focus in on the page format that's most important, the desktop layout or the mobile layout. There's so much data to be uncovered in Google Analytics, we could easily do an entire course on it. For now, let's just leave it at that, and we will certainly revisit Google Analytics in the optimization portion of this course later on. The second place I like to look is in a qualitative tool like Hotjar. Now, if you're working on a brand new landing page, it's unlikely that you're going to have anything here or that Hotjar will even be installed and collecting data at this point. But if that's the case, if time allows for it, install Hotjar on any current pages you have and let it collect at least 2 weeks worth of data. Hotjar is a qualitative analytics and feedback tool. What this means is that while Google Analytics gives you the numbers or the information on what happened, Hotjar gives you the why. For example, Google Analytics might tell you that 80% of visitors bounced after landing on your landing page without taking a subsequent action. That's fine, but it doesn't tell you why that happened. A tool like Hotjar can tell you why. They have a number of different tools within their suite, but my favorite is their session recording feature. It allows you to see videos of actual users on your landing page and what they did on the page. You could see them scroll, point, click, and interact, and it's extremely helpful for helping uncover that why. Next up, I recommend doing some research on your competitors. Who is your closest competitor to the brand that you're building the page for? What do their landing pages look like? What's their offer? Who are they targeting? The more you can uncover about your competition, the easier it will be to build a page that is light years ahead of theirs. And finally, I recommend just picking up the phone and actually talking to people. Talk to past customers. Talk to members of the company that the brand is being built for, especially people of the sales team or whoever interacts closely with prospects and customers in the target audience. And if you're able to, set up user testing sessions with people in the target market and have them walk through current landing pages. Sometimes it's as simple as just picking up the phone and just having a quick 15-minute chat with someone. Other times it needs to be more structured where you have a formal user testing interview. But whatever you do, try to get actual feedback from people during this research phase. Don't just rely on your intuition. As you go through this research process, you'll need a place to keep track of all the details that will be going into your new landing page that you're building. This template here is yours to have. I call it the landing page outline. It's basically 25 questions that will help you organize everything you need to build a great landing page. You can work through it with your client or with stakeholders of the page you're building or by yourself. It's very helpful and something that we try to use for every build out that we do. You can get your copy of the template in the resources section below. And right now, let's walk through it so we can go through each of the 25 questions. Okay, here's the landing page outline, which you can get in the resource section below. The purpose of this template is to help you gather as much of the information and assets you'll need to begin developing the first draft of a landing page, whether it's for yourself, your brand, your company, your organization, or for a client project. These are especially helpful for working with clients. So all you have to do is go through it and answer the questions as best you can. Now, you don't always have to answer every question, but what I have found is that the more information you put into this sheet, the easier it is to create a great first draft of your landing page. Let's go through each of the questions and each of the sections. So this green section here, this is where I just record information such as what client or brand I'm working with and what the project name is to keep everything organized. If the company or brand has a main website, which they usually do, I'll put that URL here for reference. And then just to keep me on track, I'll put a first draft due date. Then in this first question, we're talking about the campaign description. What's the purpose of your landing page and what's the campaign goals? This helps you quickly get a handle on what it is that you're trying to do with this landing page. Think of this as the overall strategy. Question 3 talks about administrative details. What do we need to know about the account access, URLs, point of contact, etc.? So for instance, if we're building an unbounce page for a client, we'll want to know what account to build it in and where we can get access. We'll also want to know what URL they want for the landing page. Question 4 talks about the type of page we're building. Is it a click-through? Is it a lead capture? Or is it a sales page? Pretty straightforward. Question 5 is all about the conversion goal. What's the desired action you want your visitors to take? And how are we going to count that as a conversion? And if there's more than one conversion goal, make sure there's a primary conversion goal figured out. We see this happen quite a bit where for a lead generation page, you might have a client who wants to both capture leads on a form and they also want to get phone calls, but they won't specify which one is more important. And this is really important because you can't have two calls to action that are equally weighted. You want to have one that's your primary call to action and then everything else is a secondary call to action. Question 6 talks about conversion details. If you require a form on the page, what form fields do you need to include? And you want to have as few form fields as possible. That will help increase your conversion rate usually. Now, if this is a click-through page, what is the URL that you're going to be clicking through to? You need to know that so that you could set up the button URL properly. And for sales pages, it can be quite tricky. So you want to make sure that you understand how the actual sales process is going to occur. Where is the person going to enter in their credit card information and how will they go through that checkout flow? Question 7 talks about analytics and tracking. So all the stuff that we've talked about a little bit previously, and we're going to get into more detail later in the course, but this is stuff like the Facebook Pixel or Google Analytics Code or Google Tag Manager. Whatever needs to be installed on the page, you want to have some information about it here. Question 8 talks about integrations and notifications. So if you want all the leads to go into MailChimp or ActiveCampaign or HubSpot or Salesforce or another integration, that information should be captured here. Maybe you're using a tool like Zapier to connect the landing page, and then you can connect it from Zapier to some other tools. And then also, do you want to get lead notifications? If this is a lead generation page, every time someone fills out a form, do you want to get an email or does the client want to get an email? That can be set up, but you want to make sure to record that information here. Question 9 talks about the target audience. You want to describe the ideal audience for the page. This is really important, so take your time with it. Question number 10, this is where you really get into the copy. And I find this to be helpful, but I don't always fill it out because sometimes I don't have the copy ready to go when I'm creating this outline. I might be creating this outline so that I can start working on the copy or so that I can hand off this to a copywriter to begin writing copy for the page. So I don't always have this information, but it's handy to have it in here just in case you're working with a client who already has the copy created for you. If that's the case, you can record the main headline here, the subheadline here, or just give some ideas for what direction you want this type of copy to go in. And if there's any other copy that the client wants to provide, you can record it in question 12. Question 13 is all about the call to action. What should the main button text say? What color should be used? And of course, it's difficult to come up with all this at this stage if we haven't even begun writing the copy yet, so you might need to leave this blank for now. Features and benefits, questions 14 and 15, these go hand in hand, and this is where you want to record any features and benefits that are related to the offer or the product or the service that's being presented on the landing page. Question 16, this is a really important one. This is where you want to get information on how this page will get traffic. Will it be from paid advertising, such as Google ads or Facebook ads? Will it be from an email marketing campaign? This will help you tailor the page to that specific audience. And if ads are already being run, or if ads have been run in the past for a similar campaign, have the ad copy pasted in here or have screenshots of the ads added. This can really help you get an idea of what people will see before they get to the page, and this will help you achieve better message match. Question 18, this is all about images. Where are you going to get images and graphics for the page? Is it going to be stock photography? If this is a client project, do they have access to a gallery that you can get access to? That's even better because it's much more authentic. Question 19, this is a really important one. This is where we record information about testimonials that can be used on the page. Pretty much every landing page can benefit from testimonials because remember, it answers the influence question, going back to the 7 questions that every landing page should answer. So you want to create influence on the page, and one way to do that is through authentic testimonials. So if you're working with a client and they have some testimonials that you can use, they can paste them in here. Question 20, the same thing. You want to build trust on the page. This is tied back to the trust question, one of the 7 questions every landing page should answer. So if there's any type of trust indicators, trust logos, trust icons, seals, affiliations, certifications, awards, you want to record that information here so that you can pull it when you're designing the page. Question 21, this one's pretty straightforward. It's where you just want to get an idea for the design preferences that you or other stakeholders have in mind for the page. Are there other landing page designs that they've seen that they really like? Put their URLs here. Or is there already a wireframe or a mock-up created that you want to stick to? That's where to record it. Question 22 is all about the fonts and colors that you should use on the landing page. Pretty straightforward. And sometimes you have this information and sometimes you don't, but at least if you're working with a client, this is a good time to talk about it. Question 23, probably the most boring question of all on this entire document, but it's very important to have a privacy policy at a minimum on your landing page, especially if you're using it for paid advertising. It's a requirement for a lot of ad platforms to have a privacy policy in the footer of your landing page. And you might also need to have some terms of service. So if those assets already exist and there's a URL for them, you want to record that here. 24, this one is where we talk about survey responses and any other type of data that can help you build the very best first draft possible. So if you've ever conducted a survey of the audience, or if the client has, this is where they can share that data. If they have any type of information that is directly from the audience, like phone transcriptions or interviews with internal team members who've talked with clients, or comments that were pasted on a Google ad, or email responses or reviews, this is a great place to report it because then you can go through this and you can pull out some insights that will influence your design of the page. And then last but not least, this is a question I always like to ask on every project I work on, but basically you want to record any additional notes or constraints. So basically what I like to say is, what else should we know about this project in order to build the very best landing page possible? And this is where you can get some really good insights that might not fit anywhere else. So there you have it. These are the 25 questions of the landing page outline that I use whenever launching a new project, and you can get access to this same outline in the section below this video. Okay, after we've done the initial research, we'll begin writing the copy for the landing page. Whenever possible, you want to do this copy first before the design, because the copy is what sells, not the design. Your landing page design should be something that supports the copy, not the other way around. When we're writing copy, I'll either use Microsoft Word or Google Docs or a cloud-based tool called Hemingway Editor. Hemingway lets you simplify your style, and it's been a great way to write simple copy that converts. You can get links to all of these tools in the resource section. And once again, we're going to then take the copy document that we're creating on this step and pass it over to a designer who then begins the design process, which we'll cover next. Okay, design. This is where a lot of folks get hung up when creating their first landing page because they think that they're not a designer and therefore they can't come up with something that looks great. But that's just not true. The most important thing to remember when designing a landing page is not to try to reinvent the wheel. There are hundreds or thousands of great designs out there, and the best designers are inspired by what others have already done. Now, I'm not suggesting you copy someone else's work entirely, but I am suggesting that when you don't know where to start with a pre-existing template or a layout that you've seen others use successfully. After a while, you'll start to see the same types of layouts used by different brands again and again because they work. Now, if you're working with a designer and not designing the landing page yourself, then you'll probably want to provide the designer with a rough sketch of what you have in mind. This is called a wireframe or mockup. And a great tool to create these in is called Mockups. That's MOQUPS.com. That's what I use, but there are dozens of other tools out there for it as well. And a wireframe is not meant to convey the design style or colors or details. It's only meant to help shape the main elements, the order of the sections, and give the designer a place to start from. So don't get too focused on the details if you're creating a wireframe. Focus on the page as a whole. Once you have a wireframe or mockup, you'll want to get the page designed in pixel perfect detail. This is usually done in a tool like Photoshop or Sketch that we discussed earlier. In some cases, you can skip this step and jump right into the actual development tool that we'll be using in the next step, like Unbounce, but that may cause more issues in the long run unless you know exactly what you want. Let's explore that next step in detail now. The tool you'll be using to build your live landing page will depend on a number of factors. For me, what I use most often is a landing page builder called Unbounce. It's easy to learn and it lets you build pages from scratch or from one of their 100+ templates without ever having to look at a line of code. If you want to give Unbounce a try, I have a special link below that will get you a free 30-day trial, unlimited, and then an additional discount if you decide to stick with them after the trial is up. You'll get 20% off your first 3 months. I highly recommend you check them out, so if you want to give it a try, click the link below and start a trial. If you're going to use another tool, there's plenty out there, of course, and so we'll explore other tools right now. Now, I know this can look overwhelming, but hang in there. This is a list of some of the most popular landing page builders on the market. I've broken them up into 4 distinct categories: website builders, dedicated builders, all-in-one builders, and WordPress builders. Website builders are just as they sound. They're primarily meant for building websites, but can work for landing pages too. Tools on this list include Tilda, Squarespace, Webflow, and Google Sites. If you're looking for something quick, easy, and affordable, this is a good starting point. However, keep in mind that since these are primarily for building websites and not just landing pages, they usually lack conversion-focused features like A/B testing and dynamic text replacement. But if you don't need those, no worries. Next up is the dedicated builders category. This is where I spend most of my time, and as do many other landing page optimizers and CROs. This list includes Unbounce, Instapage, Landingy, and Leadpages. I consider those to be the big 4 dedicated builders, although of course there are many others including PageWiz and Lander. As I mentioned before, the dedicated builder that I use most often is Unbounce. It's what I recommend for most of my clients, and that's why I recommend you check them out. You can get a free 30-day trial to check out Unbounce using the link below, and also get an exclusive discounted price that you can only get from Unbounce partners if you decide to stick with them after your trial is up. I should mention that I'm an Unbounce agency partner, and I've worked closely with the company over the years, so yes, I'm a bit biased, but it's a fantastic product that hasn't served me wrong yet. Next up is the all-in-one builders category. These tools let you create landing pages, but they also do some other things. Take ClickFunnels, for example. This is probably the most popular tool on this entire list. Sure, you can use ClickFunnels to build landing pages, but you can also use it to collect payments, build funnels, create email automations, run webinars, and much more. If you need these extra features and don't want to scrape them together yourself, then these all-in-one tools might be a good fit for you. However, there are 2 downsides with all-in-one tools. First, they're usually much more expensive than dedicated tools since they're trying to do a lot more. Take HubSpot, for example. You could easily pay tens of thousands of dollars per year to use their entire suite of tools. And secondly, they tend to be jack of all trades, master of none. Meaning, sure, you can send emails with some of these tools, but those capabilities are nowhere near as robust as a dedicated email marketing tool would be. The same goes for their landing page features. I have found many of these tools to be lacking in the advanced landing page development features that I want, just because they're trying to do everything. Lastly, we have the WordPress builders category. If you're already tied into the WordPress ecosystem, if you have a WordPress site, for instance, or if you simply cannot see yourself spending money each month on software just for landing pages, this might be the best choice for you. The way these page builders work is usually as a plugin. Each of the builders shown here work with almost any WordPress theme, and they give you complete control over your environment in most cases. The WordPress builder I'm most familiar with, and the one I recommend if you're looking to stay within that WordPress environment, is Elementor. I have a link below. It's also very easy to learn, and they're constantly coming out with updates. Now, with a WordPress builder, you're still going to need to know the basics of WordPress, and you still need to have a WordPress hosting environment already set up. If this sounds Greek to you, then I recommend staying away from this category and using one of the tools to the left instead. I know we just covered a lot of tools. What I recommend you do is pick out a handful of them that seem most interesting and give them a try. Almost every tool on the list offers a free trial of some sort. And when you do start a trial, these are the things to look for when evaluating a landing page builder. Let's go through them real quick. Number one, ease of use. Is it easy to navigate and build pages? Does the app load fast? Integrations. Does the tool connect with your favorite third-party apps like your CRM? For me, I always look for something that connects to Zapier, since when I create a lot of my integrations, I'm using Zapier to do it. Analytics. What type of data does the platform give you about the performance of your landing pages? And does it integrate with Google Analytics? A/B testing. Can you run an A/B test from within the platform? Or will you need another external A/B testing tool such as Google Optimize, VWO, or Optimizely? Support. I recommend that you contact the support team for each platform that you try just to see how responsive they are. This is another reason why I love Unbounce. They have amazing phone and live chat support. Templates. What type of template library does the tool offer? Or do they have one at all? And is it kept up to date with modern styles? Page speed. Launch a live page after you build one and run it through a speed testing tool like gtmetrix.com and see how it loads. You need a page builder that is optimized for speed. Advanced features. Do you need anything like dynamic text replacement or pop-ups? This really depends on your needs, so make sure you check if the builder that you're testing can do what you need it to do before you pay for it. User reviews. What are other people saying about the tool? A good place to see honest reviews about various landing page tools and all other marketing tools in general is g2crowd.com. And lastly, price. You usually get what you pay for, so be careful if you're expecting too much from a low-cost or free tool. But then again, make sure you're not overpaying for features that you don't need. Well, there you have it. You're now familiar with the first 4 steps in my 7-step landing page build-out process, and you're an expert at evaluating the best landing page tools on the market. In the next video, we'll look at the remaining 3 steps in the 7-step process, which are integrate, test, and launch. I'll see you there.